Good afternoon, everybody. Big Mike back here with you once again. Welcome to Big Mike Talks, where today I'm going to talk about the honestly rather insane week that was in pro wrestling. So we're going to cover NWA Power, NWA 77, the finale, which includes the World Heavyweight title match. We got AEW Dynamite, the go home to Full Gear, which means it's the last show before the show. And MLW's Don Gato special. And yes, that's what it was called. It was definitely a very weird name. So, yeah, we're going to get this started with NWA Power, NWA 77 finale. We start off with a Falls Count Anywhere street fight between El Drago Nihan. If you remember the last time we saw him, he was the last challenger to Tom Latimer's World Heavyweight title, and Max the Impaler, who, selling their attack from James Mitchell, has a bandage over one of their eyes. So, little details like that, I'll admit, I enjoy. This match, though, yeah, this was a little bit slow and just... There doesn't feel like there was any energy to it. Although I understand Nihan targeting the eye area. And then the entire time you saw Max adjusting their bandages throughout. It was very, very strange. Then, about, I guess, kind of near the end, Gags the Gims comes out. He's got a steel chair with him. Hits Max with it. Max no-sells it. Gags then runs up the ramp to the stage where Max catches him. Hits him with a pile driver on the chair on the stage. Max then bends down, collects the chair, goes back into the ring, eats a super kick from Dragon Nihan, which hits the chair into Max's face. That gets a 2 count. Then Nihan with bite, a couple of chair shots, and then a powerbomb onto the chair to pick up the win. So, yeah, that was a very strange match. Like, there wasn't any kind of energy to it, and maybe that was by design, but I don't know. I feel like, here's maybe the order I would have done things. Instead of having the fire attack last week, maybe do it tonight instead, so we can feel Max's full wrath on Nihan. And then you have the Lost come out and cost Max. Then the rest of the Lost come out. They surround Max the Impaler. 2 of them grab them by the arm. And then Crazy Steve is just talking at them. Like, there's no big attack. Are they trying to recruit Max back into the Lost? I'm not sure what's going on, but that was kind of lame. I'm not gonna lie. Don't get me wrong. I'm not expecting like 5-star classics from Max or Nihan, but Nihan has definitely had better matches than this. So hopefully we can turn this around, get back on track. Next we go in some alley somewhere. It's not even backstage. With Knox and Murdoch telling the Immortals, you're getting ready to step in the ring with us. You'll ultimately get what you wanted. It's time to make the Donuts Boys, which, that's a very weird line. So then we cut from there. We're backstage with the Immortals, and they got their entrance gear on. They're ready to go. with JR Kratos pretty much saying, "You ready to get in the ring with us? You've now met your match. Tonight, we're coming for the tag team titles." Which, nice, short, sweet, to the point. We then go to the entrance for the Immortals, which I thought that was a very nice transition. Then we get Knox and Murdoch. Right at the bell, Eric Smalls comes out. It looks like he's trying to manage the Immortals, but apparently the Immortals didn't agree to it. So Smalls sits on the bottom step of the entrance ramp. And then, Knox and Murdoch then jump the Immortals before the bell ring, just as the bell was ringing, as Odinson and Murdoch start. And, this was a big old hoss fight from the start. These four guys have some great chemistry. Then after a high-low on the apron, which that looked cool as heck, we go to a commercial. But before that, we get a Tom Latimer promo, because, honestly, NWA, please stop doing stuff like this. It messes with the show's flow. If you're going to do promos, do it after this match. Anyway, so Latimer says, "Thrillbilly, you may be my biggest threat to date, but to me, you're everything wrestling should be. But you're not taking this from me. I'm going to do what I do best tonight, and that's kick some ass. You'll know my name and fear it." Which, great old line. We then go to a Natalia Markova promo, and she's out in the boardwalk area, which I still have no idea where that is. I want to find that. That place looks pretty cool. Anyway, so Natalia pretty much says, "Look, I fulfilled my dream. I have the NWA Women's title. And the only thing I feel now is pride. I'm the champion now. It's a whole new era of this company. Kenzie was a great champion, but now I'm the face of the NWA. When people think of the 10 pounds of gold, which is the NWA heavyweight title, they think of guys like Ric Flair. I hope when people think of the women's title, they'll think of me." So, nice little promo to come back from break from. Then we go back to action, and Knox and Murdoch are just pummeling Odinson for a while. Kratos eventually does get in, with some big splashes and across Knox with a big old cross body. Knox and Murdoch try for the high-low, but Odinson intercepts Knox before he can make it. Kratos with a power slam, only to get a 2. Then with Murdoch on the outside, Eric Smalls just walks right up to him, right in the family jewels. Odinson then tags in. The Immortals hit Immortality to pick up the win and win the tag team titles. I will say maybe a tad bit overbooked, but I do understand why Eric Smalls got involved, especially with that attack from Knox and Murdoch like a few months ago. So there is definitely story there. I would like to see Odinson and Kratos win them on their own, but maybe we'll see Eric Smalls be incorporated into the story a bit more. So, overall, fun matchup, little bit of a lame finish. Next up, we get a promo from Pastor CeeLo, EC3, and Pretty Boy Smooth, where they're saying, "We learned our lesson from last week. Why do we fall?" And Pretty Boy Smooth pretty much yells, "Shut your mouths, I'm on demon time." Stevens, you pulled that loaded glove on us last week. Next time I see you, it's on site. And Pretty Boy Smooth just storms off, with the camera panning back to EC3 and Pastor CeeLo, with EC3 finishing the promo saying, "May the Lord have mercy on his soul." So I don't know if he's talking about Pretty Boy Smooth or Aaron Stevens. Either way, gonna be interesting. So next up, we got Kenzie Page. She's in her home for a sit-down interview, saying, "The Burke was absolutely my baby. This is the payoff for everything I did. I do it all for my family and my friends, and it was something I could be proud of. But now I gotta find who I am without the NWA Women's title. And I don't know when I'll challenge again. Last 2 years, all I did was go with the flow. The first time in my career, I don't know what's next. But for now, I'm going to take some steps back and find myself. And while I'm not going after the title right now, I'm going to figure myself out and become the woman the NWA Women's Division deserves." So, definitely going to be interesting to keep an eye on Kenzie Page. She's not going to be in the spotlight for right now. We'll see what happens. And that, of course, leads us to our main event of the evening, as we got Thrillbilly Silas Mason challenging Tom Latimer for the NWA World Heavyweight title. And this match absolutely ruled. Anytime anyone went for their biggest move, it got countered. Thrill Ride a couple times. Brighter Side of Suffering a couple times. Latimer with a very impressive leg sweep. Gotten a clothesline over the top. Latimer tried for a pile driver on the ground. That gets blocked. Into a slingshot move into the ring post, which that was impressive. Thrillbilly gets Tom back in. Gives him a couple of chops. And then a fall-away slam off the top rope, which that was impressive. Latimer looks to lock in a crossface. Thrillbilly blocks it. Counters with a backbreaker and then a couple of chops. Latimer fights back with an atomic drop clothesline combination. Latimer tries to lock in the Velvet Noise, which I didn't know that thing had a name. Thrillbilly fights out of it, hits a massive DDT. Thrillbilly hits the Thrill Ride, only gets a 2. Goes for it again. Latimer blocks it, rolls him up into a crucifix pin, only get a 2. Latimer with a Brighter Side of Suffering for a 2 count. Thrillbilly tries for the Thrill Ride again. That gets blocked into a pop-up powerbomb attempt. That misses. And then Thrillbilly with the Thrill Ride to put him away and win the NWA World Heavyweight title. Honestly, I am super happy Thrillbilly won this matchup. Not to say Latimer was bad. Latimer was not bad at all. But someone like Thrillbilly, he's more than earned it. He climbed the ladder right to the top. And yeah, that was definitely the best match of the evening. Maybe not of NWA 77, but that main event was so good. I cannot recommend you guys go and check it out. So yeah, that was NWA Power. A very, very interesting pay-per-view. I'll say pay-per-view show in which I thought they'd go on hiatus for a little while, but it looks like they are coming back this Tuesday. So Although it might just be a highlight show. We'll see about that. So that was NWA 77. We now move into AEW Dynamite / Collision. Yes, it is another 3-hour episode. Technically. And we start off Dynamite with a qualifying match for the AEW National Title Gauntlet match. I forget what they call it. It's something else. As we have Bobby Lashley taking on Ricochet to see who comes out number 1. But as the bell rings, Ricochet grabs a microphone and says, "Before this match starts, I have something to say to you." Obviously, fly, Eagles fly, which, sports team reference, of course. The only good thing to come out of this state is my wife. And let's clear the air. MVP is getting old. The AEW National Champion, I'll be its first champion. And after I become champ, I'll get the respect I deserve. Because without Ricochet, AEW wouldn't even be here. No one will stop me in my quest for gold. I'm going to run through all of your favorites. At that point, Lashley grabs him, picks him up, hits a military press slam to the outside, gets him back in, hits some shoulders. Ricochet attempts a roll-up. That only gets a 2 count. Ricochet with a combination shooting star press moonsault, which, that was very impressive. Back-to-back, only gets a 2. Goes up top for a shooting star, whiffs. Then as Lashley is going for a spear or a shoulder tackle, Ricochet pulls the referee in the way. Then as Lashley's backing off, pushes him out of the way. Hits a kick to the gut. Goes for the spirit gun. That gets caught by Lashley, who hits a spine buster and then a spear to pick up the win and solidify himself as the number 1 entrant into the Gauntlet match. Honestly, squashing Ricochet. I'll admit, I did not see that one coming. It was definitely a very entertaining match. And spoiler alert, yeah, Ricochet wins the national title at Full Gear. Which, funny. Then we get a little Full Gear card rundown. And then we get a promo from the Ops. So right now it's just Joe and Shibata. With Joe saying, "Hangman, it must feel good to be world champion right now. And I was told by Tony Khan, if I were to interfere in your match against Shibata tonight, I lose my title shot. And the only solace is your world is about to be different. Your punishment begins here tonight with Shibata, as he's here to enact justice for what you did to Hobbs. And at Full Gear, I collect in full." Now, Shibata did say something afterwards, but he said it a little fast. He did say it in English, which is awesome. Well, not to say I don't mind his Japanese, but Shibata learning some English. That's very cool of him. Anyway, so then we go backstage to a potential Young Bucks interview. Before they can get a word out, in walks Don Callis, who says, "We don't need this fake journalist here tonight. Why don't you go out, wrestle your match, and I'll be here to do the introductions." So Young Bucks get the Don Callis approved intro as they have their match, a trios match, along with Don Callis family member Josh Alexander, to take on Darius Martin, Dante Martin, and Scorpio Sky, Skyflight. It is so good to see these three back on TV. I'd love to see them as regulars. So yeah, this match was started out pretty much where the Young Bucks and Top Flight left off the last time they faced off, which, oh man, it's at least 3 years. But then Josh Alexander tags himself in, and he does a lot of really good mat wrestling. But then in comes Scorpio Sky, who, I'm going to say this, Scorpio Sky and Josh Alexander, great chemistry. Let's see them one-on-one. So they go back and forth. Dante Martin with a Spanish fly for a 2 count. Josh Alexander with a big spear. Young Bucks with a super kick party. They're about to go for the BTE trigger, but Darius flips himself up, dives to the outside, gets back in for a crossbody for only a 2 count. Josh Alexander then locks in the ankle lock with Dante fighting out. Dante attempts a point Hurricane Rana. That gets caught, where Josh tosses him into the TK driver by the Bucks. Josh Alexander locks in the ankle lock to pick up the win. At that point, Don Callis, who has been sitting on commentary, picks up the mic, brings out the rest of the Callis family besides Okada and Takeshita. That's going to be important for later. So he says, what a great win. Now that the world is watching and waiting for you guys to announce you're joining the Don Callis family. Callis then hands the microphone to, I almost said Max, Nick. But the Bucks say nothing. Callis takes the microphone back, says, this is a big moment for you. Money has been flowing ever since we've won these titles. You're back in big matches again, so why don't you announce it? Don Callis then shoves the microphone back into Matt's hands, but the Bucks say nothing again. Callis then takes back the microphone, says, to be clear, AEW can be a dangerous place, and what you could use is a family. I hate to see what happened to Kenny Omega happen to you. Almost at the drop of a hat, out comes Kenny Omega, fights off the Callis family until it's just him and the Bucks in the ring. He turns to the Bucks. He kind of gets in their faces. They're chatting for a bit. Josh Alexander gets back in the ring. It's a chop block on Omega. Locks in the ankle lock on Omega, egging the Young Bucks to attack, but they never do. So Callis gets on the microphone again, saying, Josh, let him go. I got something better in mind. Instead of you guys saying you're joining the family, why don't you give him one of these, imitating the BTE trigger? So the Bucks grab Kenny Omega by each arm. Looks like they're about to do it, when Jurassic Express makes the save with some of the weirdest weapons I've ever seen. Jack Perry, he's holding a shovel, which I'll admit that does kind of make sense, because that's how he saved Luchasaurus. Luchasaurus comes out with a vacuum cleaner. And I don't mean like an industrial-sized one. I'm talking like a regular Dyson. Not even a Dyson, like a full old-school vacuum cleaner. That was the funniest visual I've ever seen. So, yeah, that was definitely a very interesting segment. A bit long-winded for Don Callis, but, I mean, I guess that makes sense. Definitely an interesting hype-up for the $1 million match between these two teams. So next, cut to the back for a Babes of Wrath interview, which I love that tag team name. keep Willow Nightingale and Harley Cameron together. Anyway, so Harley pretty much takes over the interview, saying, we were the first two women in Blood and Guts. I didn't make Thekla bleed enough. But it was, we still have our match in the AEW Tag Tournament. And we're going to be the first ever Women's Tag Team Champions. A bit all over the place, but nice and to the point for Harley Cameron, which I am so happy Harley has been improving like this throughout the years. So next we cut to the arena for Mike Tenay to do a little tribute to fellow announcer Bob Claude, who we had since lost. May he rest in peace. I think it was an old announcer for like Smoky Mountain or something. I'm not really familiar with the guy, but rest in peace either way. And next up, to see who gets number 2 in the Casino Gauntlet match. There it is. You have Hurt Syndicate member Shelton Benjamin taking on Jet Speed Zone Speedball Mike Bailey. And to tell you, this match absolutely slapped. This was an excellent matchup. You had Mike Bailey's speed against Shelton Benjamin's ferocity. And yeah, these two had some awesome chemistry together. With Shelton Benjamin picking up the win after a crazy looking super kick. MVP actually gets on the apron. He attempts to enter the ring, but the ref gets him out of the ring. Shelton Benjamin with the suplex, a big old rising knee strike in the corner, and the coolest super kick I think I've ever seen. Like, it looked like Benjamin hit Mike Bailey for real. To Shelton Benjamin to pick up the win. So number 1, number 2 in the Casino Gauntlet match. Both members of the Hurt Syndicate. Active members, I'll say that. So yeah, that match I'm going to recommend to absolutely everybody. This match, it kind of felt like the old school David versus Goliath matches we had back in the day. And even then, Shelton Benjamin ain't really that big, but he felt pretty big after that match. So, next up, we got a little tag team match playa, as we got the Death Riders being represented by Claudio Castagnoli and Jon Moxley taking on Orange Cassidy and Roderick Strong. And, yeah, this match was absolutely fun. This was a great owned match. Although I do wish Moxley would take a minute off. Not saying forever, but let him heal up. Like, Jesus. Yeah, this match was great back and forth action. You eventually had a point where Claudio was just uppercutting Roderick Strong in the corner. The ref backs him off. Then the Moxley on the outside with the ref distracted. Little wrist hook action. Which, I'm always a fan of that. At that point, Claudio goes for a giant swing, but Strong blocks it. Into a roll-up for a 2 count. Claudio then with a couple of big old uppercut. Hits the giant swing. Then Moxley with a big old boot. Cassidy comes in, hits a big old DDT. And Strong gets back in, hits a big old drop kick to Mox to the outside. Hits a baseball slide. Gets him back in. Hits a powerbomb for the 2 count. Goes for the sharpshooter, but at that point, Daniel Garcia comes out, distracts the referee. At that point, Moxley gets out of it, hits a paradigm shift for a 2 count. Then Claudio and Mox attempt a doomsday device. That gets blocked. Roddy with an angle slam. And then a big old superplex. Tags in Orange Cassidy, who hits an orange punch to Garcia on the apron. An orange punch to both Moxley and Claudio. But at that point, Wheeler Yuta comes out. Claudio with a pop-up uppercut. Moxley with the Bulldog choke. So your winners, the Death Riders. And then post-match, the entire roster of Death Riders comes out, attacks Cassidy after the match. Then Kyle O'Reilly himself makes the save. The Death Riders attack Kyle O'Reilly. But then we get a couple other faces coming out to even the odds. I think Darby was in there. I think Mark Briscoe was in there as well. So then Kyle grabs a microphone. As the Death Riders are walking away, saying, "Moxley, I want to fight you at Full Gear, and I want it to be no holds barred." That gets a big old pop from the crowd. And then he continues, "The history books will say you tapped out," which gets a big "you tapped out" chant going, which I am so happy they are pushing Kyle O'Reilly. Hopefully this gets him far, because he is an absolutely phenomenal talent that deserves, honestly, everything. So then we go backstage to a promo from Brodito. So that's Brody King and Bandito, our current tag team champions. With King starting off, "You attacked everyone we care about, including some legend. You have proven you're best in the ring, but you haven't proven it against us. After Full Gear, after we retain our tag team titles, remember, Brodito never stops fighting." So, nice, easy promo from those two. Then we see Mercedes Moné. She's walking in the back somewhere. We'll see her a little bit later. But first, we got a Kenny Omega promo, and he's being joined by Jurassic Express, with Kenny saying, "Don Callis, you were the first talent to bring me in. While they say money can't buy friendship, the Bucks have proven that wrong time and again. No amount of money is going to save you from what is coming at Full Gear. But until Full Gear, I bid you adieu, good night, mwah, and goodbye, bang." I love that little send-off from Kenny Omega. It gets me hyped every single time. So next up, we got the next semi-final match for the AEW Women's Tag Team Title Tournament. As we got the team of Mina Shirakawa and Timeless Toni Storm, which they are called the Timeless Love Bugs, which, great team name, as they take on the kind of thrown together team of Alex Windsor and Riho. Definitely been a while since I've seen Riho wrestle. It's great that she's back. And maybe she'll be a regular mentor to Alex Windsor. And honestly, this match absolutely ruled. Especially with Mina and Riho, who I don't know if they've had matches outside of AEW. But good lord, they have definitely worked on some stuff. Alex Windsor and Timeless Toni Storm definitely have some good chemistry together. This was a absolutely great back and forth matchup, with the winners coming after Mina Shirakawa and Timeless Toni Storm hip attacks in the corner. Then as Mina is holding Windsor back, Toni Storm with a Storm Zero to Rio to pick up the win and move on in the tournament. We then get something very, very interesting, as it's announced by Renee Paquette. Although we don't see her, we do hear the audio. The 4 teams who moved on in the tournament will face each other in a 4-way at Full Gear, where the winning team picks their stipulation for their semifinal match. Oh, this was the quarterfinal, so I got a little mixed up. I apologize. So, yeah, that's definitely very big. Spoiler alert, Toni Storm and Mina Shirakawa get the win. I don't think they picked their stipulation yet, although I think that's coming. So next we get an interview of Kyle Fletcher and Mark Briscoe, with Briscoe pretty much taking this over, saying, no, this is Fletcher starting it off. I apologize. Saying, I am very confident I will win, and I will break the TNT title record. But because of the stipulation, there must be a clear winner and loser. And Mark, I just want to thank you for joining us in the Don Callis family. So that sets Mark Briscoe off. He takes the microphone from Fletcher, says, every time I go out there and fight, I fight for my family. I fight for my road family, the conglomeration. We all went to war together. And when I agreed to this match, I knew losing wasn't an option. I will not let my road family down. I'm going to make my family proud. So at that point, we see the rest of the Don Callis family jump Mark Briscoe from behind. So then Fletcher kneels down right next to Briscoe, says, thank you for not agreeing to no contact. Glad I could... Then Okada walks up, says, glad I could be of help, bitch. And then walks off. Next up is a really stylized, interesting Pac promo. Like, he's all on his own. He's in the back somewhere, maybe. But there's something about Pac's way of talking that's just so enticing. Where he says, Darby, I've been doing some soul searching since I've been gone. But since I've been back, I promised I'd break your neck at Blood and Guts, but obviously that didn't happen. But nobody has seen you since I threw you through a flaming table. But you're probably intimidated. The boy who never quits. I'm not challenging you to a plunder match. At Full Gear, I am challenging you to a legit matchup. Stripped of all the bells and whistles, there is no way you can perform at my level. Like I said, there is just something about the way Pac talks that you just believe in him. And you're kind of scared of him, honestly. So next up, Samoa Joe joins us on commentary. Not us, he's definitely not here. He joins the commentary table as we get our next match, as Kazuchika Shibata takes on Hangman Adam Page. And as Shibata's making his entrance, Hangman jumps Shibata before the bell rings. Hangman then chokes Shibata with his scarf, throws him into the announce table, gets him in the ring. Shibata with a big old boot. Bell rings. Like almost immediately after that. Then they just beat the heck out of each other. One point, Shibata tries to bring in a chair, but the referee stops him. And honestly, this was a great back and forth match. One point we had Hangman attempt the Deadeye, but Shibata blocks it. Attempts a sleeper hold, but Hangman gets out of it. Then after a clothesline big boot combination, Shibata with a couple uppercuts. Then as the ref is distracted by Joe, who's getting off commentary, Hangman with a low blow. Goes for a drop kick, whiffs. Shibata attempts a clothesline, whiffs again. Big old suplex from Hangman. Shibata then with a low blow of his arm. Locks in the arm bar. But Hangman reaches the ropes. Shibata then transitions into an ankle lock. Hangman gets in the ropes again. Hangman with a clothesline. Then lines it up for the buckshot lariat to pick up the win. That was a heck of a matchup. And that was just honestly so much fun. At that point, Hangman goes for a microphone. Grabs it, says, "Joe, look around you. Although you might be surrounded by crazy fans, you are now all alone. And when you walk into the cage at Full Gear, remember you don't have Hobbs because I put him out. You don't have Shibata. Joe, you're going into Full Gear with less armed. And remember what I did to someone inside of a steel cage? I'll do it again." Oh, Hangman referencing that match with Swerve where you used like needles and that was definitely a promo that was needed in this feud. Definitely hyped me up a bit more for this matchup. So next up we get an FTR promo saying 11 years ago FTR formed. Anything you Brodito, there will be nothing you did that will be remembered in 5 years. You guys enjoy the win tonight because Saturday we closed the book. We've been champions for 7 different promotions. This is our legacy and you're just in the way. At Full Gear, we go down as the best team of all time. I love that from FTR. Great little promo. Hyping us up for our next show. So then that is when the 2-hour Dynamite ends. We finish up with an hour of Collision. We start off with the next quarterfinal matchup in the AEW Women's Tag Team title match, as we got Megan Bayne and Marina Shafir taking on Ty Mello and Anna Jay, aka TJ. Fight! I love that theme song, by the way. That's great. Yeah, this match was pretty much at first TJ trying to corner Marina Shafir from tagging Megan. Eventually she does get in and just overpowers everybody. One point we have Anna Jay locking in the Queen Slayer on Bayne, but Bayne powers out, tags in Marina Shafir, grabs a takedown of Anna Jay, locks in the Mother's Milk, which is a great name for a submission finisher, to pick up the win and have this team move on. And I'm going to say this, I know a lot of people are disappointed. I am more than happy to see Megan Bayne in the finals for this. I would have liked to see TJ because they were technically AEW's first women's tag team. But, yeah, I'm more than happy we're seeing some fresh faces in the division. And as Megan Bayne and Marina Shafir are celebrating, Toni Storm and Marina Shafir show up on the Tron. And with Toni saying, at Full Gear, we won't leave until we wear the skulls of our victims as necklaces. Which, that's a hell of a... that's a hell of a threat. Toni continues, and the stipulation could be anything our minds desired. And we'll see what we do to your women. You'll piss yourself in fear. I don't really get that one. Anyways, then we get a Chris Statlander Mercedes Moné hype video, which I'm going to say this. AEW have gotten better at stuff like this. Like their hype videos, their card rundowns, it adds to the show. Then we go backstage again for Juice Robinson and Colton Gunn, I think it is, who say, there's no better way to start than us for $200,000. That we're going to have way more money than that. We're going to be pigs and shit happy. And if you're not down with that, we've got $2,000. So the nice little back and forth between these two, between, serious and then kind of funny with Juice. These two guys have some great chemistry together. It was reported that they're involved in a 4-way on Full Gear's pre-show for money, which, that's definitely fine. Next up, a match I don't think we've seen a ton of, as it's Mascara Dorado taking on Kazuchika Okada. And I learned kind of late that if Okada won this match, he and other members of the Callis family will be challenging for the CMLL Trios titles at Full Gear. But if Dorado won, he would challenge for the Unified title at Full Gear. And this match was pretty much the finesse of Okada taking on just the pure speed of Mascara Dorado. This match absolutely ruled. We have a couple points where Dorado countered out of the Rainmaker. But eventually, after one of the last counters, after a roll-up for a 2, Okada with a Blue Thunder Bomb a la Takeshita. He then hits the Rainmaker to pick up the win and secure the title match. And then at that point, Don Callis, who has been sitting on commentary, grabs the microphone and says, "What a great win by Okada." And based on that win, the Callis family gets a CML Trios title shot. And we're going to do that at Full Gear's Tailgate Brawl. Full Gear's pre-show. And it's going to be an all-star team. Obviously leading will be Kazuchika Okada. Joining him will be the Lucha Libre stylings of Henchizero. And the last man in the match, the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, Konosuke Takeshita. At that point, we see Okada kind of give Don Callis the death glare. And then Callis sees him and he says, whoa, don't you worry. I'll talk to Takeshita before the matchup. but know this, you will win the trios titles. Yeah, we're definitely going to see a breakup of Okada and Takeshita. Maybe we'll see Takeshita turn face? I honestly wouldn't mind that. Then we get this very interesting Sisters of Sin video where they're standing side by side and they look like those two little ghost girls from The Shining, if you know what I mean. They're like standing shoulder to shoulder, holding each other's hand, and just staring directly into the camera, saying, "Violence and anger is our revenge. Our pointless path will lead us to gold. You thought blood and guts was bad." And actually, at that point, Thekla comes in and says, "You guys thought blood and guts were bad. Just you wait." So definitely a nice little showing from the Triangle of Madness. That's going to be a very, very interesting matchup. As we see before the main event starts, we see Chris Statlander join commentary as we have our Ring of Honor Women's Television Title Unification match. As we have Mercedes Moné, who holds the interim title, take on Red Velvet, who is the actual champion. So they kind of start rolling each other up at the start, only getting one counts. Eventually, we do see our first move as a big old arm drag from Red Velvet. Moné attempts a leg lariat a little bit down the line. That kind of whiffs. So Red Velvet hits a drop kick. Then Moné with a Meteora off the apron, which is crazy. Then Moné goes over to ringside, grabs the both ROH Women's TV titles, holds it up, then drops them, starts beating the heck out of Red Velvet for a little while. Then Moné picks up Red Velvet, pushes her into Statlander, who is on commentary. They get back in. Chris Statlander is about to enter the ring, but the ref stops her. Red Velvet with an attempted roll-up off the distraction for a 2 count. Tries for a suplex, but that gets blocked immediately into a crossbody for a 2. Red Velvet with a bulldog, couple of knees for a 2 count. She goes for the KO punch, which is very interesting for a woman of her stature. That gets caught by Moné. Immediately locks her in the statement maker, but Red Velvet rolls through into a roll-up for a 2 count. Red Velvet attempts the armbar, but that gets blocked. With Moné in a short arm scissors. Red Velvet with a roll-up for a 2 count. Red Velvet then with a combination of strikes. Goes for a kick. Moné catches her. Hits her with a big old enziguri. Goes for the Meteor in the corner. That misses. Red Velvet with knees in the corner of her own. Hitting a suplex. Attempts the bow and arrow. Moné gets out of it. Hits a lung blower for a 2 count. And they go up top. I forget what Red Velvet was attempting to do. But then Moné with a Rana off the top, which was crazy. Moné attempts a pile driver that gets blocked into a Rana. Then Moné with a pile driver off the second rope. Well, your winner, still, and the new Ring of Honor Women's TV Champion, proper Mercedes Moné. Now, I don't think she's going to carry the interim title for much longer. They're just going to unify those two. So that title becomes 1. So she's not at 14. At that point, Statlander's up, and she's having a big old stare down with Monet. They start brawling, and then Monet locks Chris Statlander and the Statement Maker to end the show. So, I'll admit, that was a very entertaining 3-hour episode. It felt like it flew by. However, there was maybe a couple of criticisms I could give. One, I think maybe AEW could use an on-screen matchmaker. Not an authority figure, just an extension of Tony Khan, so that, the graphic just doesn't pop up and oh, there's that match. I want to see it done a little differently. Like, short promo from a matchmaker saying, you really want this, you really want this, it's on, have the match graphic come up. I feel like that would add more to not just the flow of the show, but it could be made to hype up matches a bit easier. So that's just me. Number 2, if I may, maybe we don't show so many titles. Like, I know that's currently Mercedes Moné's gimmick, but I think we need to focus on the titles we have. And it just went up by 1. Like, dang, AEW has a lot of titles. Anyway, that's just me. Like I said, very entertaining. It definitely hyped me up in places for Full Gear. But, yeah, there was some things. I feel like there's always more AEW can do to hype up their shows a bit more. Like I said, just the one problem I have. And we finish up with the MLW Don Gato special, which I thought it went by a different name, but apparently it did not. This actually takes place in a very interesting venue. It's in an old school opera house. The ring is on the stage, so it's very limited seating. But then behind it, you got a big screen doing like match graphics, and during matches, it actually has images of certain wrestlers, which, yeah, go check that out. That's actually really cool. So we got Selena De La Renta, Don Gato, who's Jesus Rodriguez, the former ring announcer for Alberto Del Rio, and Cesar Duran open the show. They run down the card for a bit. Then they start opening Don Gato's Tequila, which I'm wondering if that's actually a real product, because I am really not sure about this point. At that point, Akira Kwan comes out, says, I told you, when we got here to North Carolina, I get what I want. Otherwise, I'm going to wring your neck. Give me my middleweight title match. So Cesar, low smirk on his face, says, you want your opportunity, you'll get it. But the opportunity comes with consequences. Yours is Don Gato as the special guest enforcer for your match. So Kwan kind of rolls his eyes, says, fine. And tell bruh she'll thank me later. So at that point, Don Gato gets up off his throne, has a little face-off with the Kwan. Very interesting way to open a show. I don't mind it at all. I feel like that's something AEW could do a little bit more of. Not saying I want a, like a GM or whatever, but having a nice little hype man, I think could do wonders. So our opening matchup is a very interesting one. I feel like we've seen this a couple times in WWE, we have Isla Dawn. Isla Dawn? I'm not 100% sure how to say her name. Taking on Scarlett Bordeaux. And this was a nice, I don't want to say tight, but it was a nice rounded matchup. Really nice back and forth between the two. With Scarlett winning via the Scarlet Letter submission, which, great name. Post-match, Isla Dawn attacks Scarlett, but then Scarlett turns around, Dawn then bails. So, yeah, I guess we're going to get more from these two somewhere down the line. Yeah, we'll see what happens. It definitely was a quick match, which I don't mind, but I feel like there needs to be a little bit more to it. You know what I mean? Then the camera then points up at the cheap seats as we see Danny McBride, who is one of the extras from the Don Gato skits, and they show him finding his seat, gives a little, opera wave. So, wonder how he's going to fit into all of this. So, our next matchup is our first title match of the evening, and it's for the MLW World Tag Team titles, as the Good Brothers, Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson, take on the champions, Bishop Dwyer, the former Baron Corbin, and Donovan Dijak for the tag team titles. And, yeah, this was kind of a hoss fight a little bit. A lot of really good, maybe not technical moves, but they looked like they hit each other hard. One point, the Skyscrapers were attempting a Doomsday device. That gets blocked. Then all four of them start brawling with each other. The ref tries to separate them. Dijak then pushes the referee, although not hard enough that he just bounces off the rope. Takes one look. Calls for the match to end. So the match gets thrown out. The Skyscrapers then get in the ref's face for a minute. They turn around and the Good Brothers, and they just brawl to the outside of the arena into the parking lot. So, yeah, it does look like we're going to get more from these two teams. I don't mind this first match going to a no contest. Do I wish there was a winner? Absolutely. But I don't mind this first outing of theirs maybe being a little not so clean. So next up is a lightning match, which, before that we get a very entertaining Don Gato ad, which, I'm not sure if this is a real product or not. Anyway, we get a lightning match, which is a 5-minute time limit. Maybe not 5 minutes. I think it's like 10, maybe. Between Diego Hill, who is a bit of a rising star, Okamura, former MLW Tag Team Champion, and Stigma, making his MLW debut on loan from CMLL. And this match was honestly really, really fun. Like, you felt the urgency of the time limit going down. And you felt the urgency of the match. Everyone hitting each other with their biggest shot, only getting a 2. Okamura with a destroyer at one point. That only gets a 2. He gets in the referee's face. Eventually he does get back in. Stigma with a couple of low blows. Hits a cutter on Okamura. Then Diego Hill with a corkscrew to pick up the win. Yeah, we'll see what happens with Diego Hill. I'm kind of hoping he goes for the middleweight title soon, because he fits that to a T. So next up, what I thought was going to be a gauntlet match was just a 4-way title, non-title match between a whole bunch of Lucha Libre. We got Atlantis and Atlantis Jr. teaming up. We got the team of El Galleon Fantasma, which is a pirate-themed team, which is hilarious. We have Los Fianos, so Fianos and Fianos Jr., a cat Lucha Libre, which is honestly kind of funny. Then we got Blue Panther and Blue Panther Jr. rounding it out. And this was just absolutely chaos right from the beginning. I honestly had a hard time keeping up. And of course, with it being tornado rules, which I just found that out during the match. So there were no tags. It was all action. And I could barely keep up. At one point, you had the El Galleon boys hit a military press slam and then bunch of drop kicks to the middle. And something happened with the referee. He counted 1, 2. I guess he thought Blue Panther got his shoulder up because he didn't count to 3. And apparently he didn't. So then members of El Galleon Fantasma repin him for the 1, 2, 3 and the win. So, yeah, something told me that wasn't supposed to happen. Match itself was absolutely fun. But that finish was just so strange. Like either the ref messed up or maybe Blue Panther got up a little too fast. I'm not sure. But I'm going to give them benefit of the doubt for now. We then get a Battle Riot hype video, which is MLW's Royal Rumble. Cannot wait for that. That's going to be a ton of fun. Next, we got Priscilla Kelly taking on Shotzi Blackheart. These two former teammates in NXT going one-on-one. And again, this was a very quick matchup. After Priscilla Kelly attempted a suplex, that got blocked. Shotzi with an STO for a 2 count. Then with a run off the top rope, a senton. Your winner is Shotzi Blackheart. So I kind of wish there would be more between these two. I'm not sure what Priscilla Kelly's status is in MLW. If this is just going to be a one-off, or are we going to see her again down the line? I'm not sure. And here comes the hypest point. We get announced that MLW Fusion will be coming back. Now, if you don't remember, that was their weekly show. So, MLW bringing back the weekly stuff. I'm hyped for it. We'll see who shows up. So next up, we got an MLW middleweight title match. As we got our special guest enforcer, Don Gato, sitting ringside. Then we have Guerrero Maya Jr., who I don't think I've ever seen wrestle, taking on Akira Kwan, taking on the champion Templario. And yeah, this was a very, unlike the previous matches, this match was definitely more paced out a bit. We didn't go right into the high-flying stuff. Eventually, they did get in there. And after Kwan throws his opponent into the ring post, Kwan goes into his knee pad, brings out Don Gato's brass knuckles that he's had since the last show. So Don Gato then enters the ring, kicks Kwon right in the stomach. Templaro with the massive backbreaker to pick up the win and retain his title. So yeah, that finish was a little bit interesting. I guess they don't want to finish Kwon off just yet. Maybe we'll see a rematch down the line somewhere, but honestly, that was an interesting finish. I'll give him that. So next up, we see Killer Kross pulling into a parking lot. At first, I thought it was for the arena. Instead, it's for a gym. Like an MMA gym. So he's like right outside. Oh, is Riddle in here? Guys are out on the outside and like, yeah. Opens the door, walks inside. Riddle's standing right there. Kross is like, look, I just want to talk to you. Riddle turns around and says, hey, bud. He has this weird purple hair going on. He says, I have much respect for you, but some people are getting weird about it. I remember helping you when you needed it. But I'm not sweating this match. I'm going to handle this. But I need to know 100% we're cool. Kross then replies, no, this is still Riddle. So when we enter, we're going to enter. I'm going to tap you out, and we'll be good. So Kross kind of gives him the little stink eye, says, that's the first thing that comes to your mind? Riddle then retorts, I've been in UFC, I've won a WWE Major Championship on the main roster, and yes, we are boys, but you honestly think you have a chance at winning? So Kross turns to Riddle and says, you don't think I have an answer for your submission move? Here, I'll show you. So he turns his back to Riddle, arms stretched out. Lock me in it. Riddle pulls his hand on Kross's shoulder, sees, just wait until the night of, I'm going to choke you out. So, rude dude Riddle. I'll be honest, I did not see that stuff like that from him. Gonna be interesting to see what happens later on. So next up, we got an MLW title match, and it's a bunkhouse match, which basically means weapons. As we got Brock Anderson taking on Mads Kruger. And who's joining Mr. Brock Anderson? It's his father, Double A, Arn Anderson. He refuses to get off the apron. Instead, he grabs a microphone and says what I assume he's saying, because that microphone was really low. I barely heard him. He says, I assume, the match is going on. This is Horseman country. While you're a real impressive boogeyman, does it look like I shit my pants? Well, I got someone who wants a little payback. Coming down the aisle is C.W. Anderson. He looks great. He's holding 3 kendo sticks. So Arn continues, in this match, anything goes. You know what you signed up for. So CW distributes the kendo sticks to the other Andersons, and they just start wailing on Mads Kruger. So many kendo stick shots. Eventually they do all get dispersed by Kruger. Brock has him in the corner, hits a couple of shoulders, couple of strikes. Then CW tosses Brock a shovel. He uses that to choke out Kruger for a little bit. Then he lets go. CW then grabs a trash can lid, hits Cruel right in the noggin. Brock Anderson grabs a kendo stick, starts beating him down. Cruel then pretty much no-sells them, hits a choke slam on Brock. CW comes in, hits a trash can on him. And as CW has Cruel's attention, Brock with a low blow pushes Cruel into the referee, hits a spine buster, goes for a pin, but there's no referee in sight, no one to count. So Brock gets in a mount, starts just raining rights down on Cruel. Arn then grabs a fire extinguisher, lets it off in Cruel's face. Brock with a DDT. CW wakes up the referee, who only counts 2. Brock then grabs a chair, goes for a chair shot. Cruel catches it, knocks it away, gets Brock in a goozle, hits a choke slam, pin, and win. Honestly, that was a fun little plunder match. We'll see what happens with Cruel's world title reign coming up. But yeah, that was a lot of fun, although relatively short, which is interesting. We then get a hype video for the Opera Cup tournament, which we are in its final phase. We have, for the Opera Cup, we have Volador Jr. taking on last year's winner, Mystico. So, as the bell rings, Mystico goes for a handshake. Volador looks like he's about to comply, pulls it away almost immediately, and they just start all the lucha things, arm drags, drop kicks. One point, Volador goes after, tries to take off Mystico's mask. Mystico stops him. Volador with a tiger feint kick, aka a 619. Big old senton. Mystico with a backdrop, and Enziguri. Big old drop kick to the outside, hits a dive himself, gets back in for a 2 count. Volador with a roll up for a 2. Volador attempts a Rana, that gets blocked into a roll up for a 2. Mystico attempts a Rana himself, that gets caught with either a power bomb or a pile driver. I'm not sure what the heck happened there, for a 2 count. They trade roll-ups for a bit for 2s. Mystico with an arm drag, a drop kick, couple Enziguris, run off the top for a 2. Volador with a backstabber for a 2 count. Then Mystico with a crossbody right into the La Mystica for the win. A bit of an abrupt ending, but this match got pretty much all the time. This was a great old match. And yeah, Mystico, the first back-to-back Opera Cup winner, at least of the modern age. I'm not sure what happened back in the day. So then Mystico's celebrating. Out comes Cesar Duran, Don Gato, and Salino de la Renta as they present Mystico with the Opera Cup again. Don Gato then gives him a bottle of tequila. Looks like he's about to pour it into the cup itself and drink from it. But then he just kind of peels his mask up to his nose, take a sip, right back down. So, yeah, that was definitely match of the night. And I can't recommend that match enough. Go check it out. Next time you got a free moment. As we got our main event, which, honestly, I am surprised this is the main event, but I do get it. As we have Killer Kross, not Karrion, Killer Kross, taking on Matt Riddle. And Cross and Riddle share a handshake beforehand. Riddle trying to take advantage early, including locking in some arm bars, but that gets blocked. Including looking for a Kimura, that gets blocked. They trade elbows for a bit. Riddle with a big old bulldog. Go for the bro down. That only gets a 2. Attempts another one. That misses. Cross with a big clothesline for a 2 count. Locks Riddle in the rear naked choke, but Riddle makes it to the ropes. Riddle looks to lock in another submission that gets blocked initially. Adjust into a triangle choke, but Cross makes it into the ropes. Riddle attempts a crossbody off the ropes. It's intercepted by a big old elbow strike from Killer Cross. Cross with a suplex, a DVD, big old cutter. Attempts a suplex that gets blocked. Riddle with a big knee, hits the final flash, and then the bro down, only for a 2 count. Locks in a bow and arrow, hits the hammer and anvil elbows, but on the last one, Cross catches the elbow, locks eyes with Riddle, locks in the cross jacket, and picks up the submission win. So I'm not 100% sure what's going down with Cross. It does look like he's sticking around in MLW for a little bit. We'll see if he becomes champion. Overall, a very kind of nothing show. Like, this was hyped up to be one of MLW's bigger shows. But the early undercard matches went like maybe a minute, which I was a little disappointed by, but I do understand why some went that way. The last 2 matches are pretty much what say, I'll throw in the bunkhouse match. While not the most technical match, it was a fun plunder match. So, last 3 matches definitely saved the show a little bit. Not to say the previous matches were bad, but they went by way too quickly. Anyway, so that's This Week in Wrestling. I think for this week, I'm going to take a little wrestling break, enjoy the Thanksgiving week, and then I'll be back the week after. So hopefully you guys take it easy until then. Monday I'll do a little makeup. Next Monday I'll do a little makeup video. Hopefully you understand. Until next time, happy wrestling, everybody. Peace.